from our 7 Tasmania studios. Your nightly news with Peter Murphy begins now.
And there's anger tonight over a stalled integrity investigation, with the Greens claiming several government MPs are under the Commission's microscope. As the election campaign rolls on, the Premier is remaining tight-lipped, pushing housing promises, while Labor insists it can do a better job of looking after the state's roads.
3 years of stalled investigations into who the Greens believe to be Liberal MPs and mystery surrounding a $250,000 government spend on legal fees. The party are growing suspicious as the state nears election day.
We want to know whether that money has been used to stop the Integrity Commission doing its work.
The agency is probing allegations of failure to declare and manage conflicts of interest, misuse of information and improper expenditure of public funds, though it's yet to be confirmed who is being investigated.
What have they got to hide? Why aren't they being upfront?
I'm not going to get into Labor and Green political games. That is not what Tasmanians want.
What the Premier hopes they want is tripling the first home buyers grants for new builds.
Trying to save money whilst renting to buy a home is difficult. I think the change from $10,000 to $30,000 is a massive increase that will help a lot of people.
If re-elected, the Liberals will also lift the My Home program cap to $800,000.
In the last 12 months, we've seen first home buyers not entering the market. I think this will make a real difference.
This is a $15 million investment, and we see this as an investment in young people. It's an investment in jobs.
While elsewhere in construction, Labor says it will steer Tasmania's roads back on track, making 5 key changes, including flexible road standards.
The issues that we're seeing is that the roads aren't being designed for the Tasmanian conditions.
It's really important that we build the roads once and that they're right for the future.
While the political divide deepens, there's one thing all sides will be keeping tabs on tomorrow: the Tasmanian Planning Commission's hearings into Macquarie Point Stadium. The issue shaping up to be one of the biggest this election. Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
And after more than a decade in the political wilderness, the Tasmanian Nationals have come out of the woodwork, launching their election campaign. Among the recognisable faces putting their hands up, former Liberal MP John Tucker and ex-Jackie Lambie Network members Andrew Jenner and Miriam Beswick.
We want to bench the stadium, as has been said before, balance the budget and also fix the basics for people, and that's what we are concentrating on.
The party currently doesn't have candidates running in the Franklin and Clark electorates. Tasmania's most renowned motorsport race, Targa, has beefed up its rulebook, hoping to avoid a repeat of history after multiple drivers died on the track in 2021 and 2022. Competitors in this year's event will now face extensive driver training, slower speed limits and lower entry numbers.
Fronting cameras for the first time after the findings of an inquest into the death of 4 drivers were handed down. Targa Australia CEO Mark Perry says big changes are coming to the race.
We are now knocking back people, where once upon a time it was a bit, if you had the Motorsport Australia licence, away you went.
Late last week, Coroner Simon Cooper concluded the deaths of 4 competitors were caused by driver error and excessive speeds. Shane Navin, Lee Mundy and Dennis Neagle died in 2 separate crashes during the Targa race in 2021. Anthony Seymour died the following year.
It's been a long and tiring journey, and I think generally our view on the release of the findings on Thursday was, one of relief, one of closure.
But now comes the tough job, ensuring that fate never falls on the competition again. Future competitors will have to pass a rigorous and detailed criteria prior to entering and undertake pre-event training driving on a practice stage. Only then will they be given a one-off licence to race at a top speed of 130 kilometres per hour.
It's inherently risky, no one denies that.
Entry numbers will also be capped at 300, 2/3 of that accepted to tour and the rest to take part in the competition. News some didn't take lightly.
Not well, because obviously, people have their own views of their own abilities, but we've had to make some what are tough calls.
After a 3-year hiatus, the long-awaited race is set to return in November. Organisers have moved the event from the traditional April-May time slot to account for warmer and more predictable weather.
Because incidents will happen again, it's inevitable, but we need to prepare everyone better for that.
Targa says it's still reviewing a mental health component which played into one of the fatalities and is seeking expert advice on how to deal with similar issues in the future. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
A decision on the Robbins Island wind project has been delayed again. It's the 7th time the assessment process has been extended in 3 years. The Commonwealth was due to make the call on June 27. The 100-turbine proposal has faced multiple legal hurdles as environmental groups fight the project.
This is deeply concerning. There have been a number of delays to this vital energy infrastructure project for Tasmania.
Federal Environment Minister Murray Watt is now expected to make a decision by August 29. A blast of wild weather is smashing into Tasmania, bringing heavy rain, hail and high tides. It's prompted a renewed safety warning, authorities calling for bushwalkers to take extra precautions when venturing into our national parks.
On high alert as wild weather smashes through.
We've got a very strong cold front moving over,
bringing heavy rain, hail and destructive winds, some parts expecting up to 100-kilometre gusts.
There's also abnormally high tides, especially around the southeast of the state and parts of the north around the Tamar and the west coast as well.
Snow also covering mountain peaks and highland communities.
Mountains around the south above 500 or 600 metres.
With winter well and truly setting in, bushwalkers are warned to be extra vigilant.
This time of year, conditions around up in the high country, especially in the alpine area, can be really difficult.
Mountfield and Cradle Mountain both notorious for harsh conditions. Almost 200 rescues have been carried out in the past year, and authorities say winter conditions add extra difficulty.
More complex due to cold weather, rain, snow, lack of daylight hours, which makes completing a rescue far more difficult.
Urging walkers to be cautious by checking weather forecasts and packing appropriate gear.
Make sure that you tell somebody where you're going and when you're due back.
Be obviously physically prepared for it, mentally prepared for it, do your research before going so you can understand where you're going to be going, and then also be aware that you can set off your beacon early.
But if should the worst happen, authorities stand ready to rescue.
We have obviously the helicopter, we have foot parties, we have vehicles, we have marine vessels.
It seems authorities may be needed sooner than first thought, with Huonville one of the first to be impacted by flooding tonight. The Esplanade is currently closed behind me, with some water spilling over the road, forcing drivers to find other ways home. Other parts of the state are also in the firing line, with the Bureau issuing flood warnings for the North Esk and Tamar rivers, with concerns low-lying areas could be inundated soon and potentially cut off over the next 24 hours. The most up-to-date information can be found on the Tas Alert app. Murph, it may be a nervous night for many on the flood watch tonight.
Sure will be, Beck. Thank you very much for that. We'll have the latest from the Bureau in Kaya Wick's weather report later. Eye drop treatment for diabetic retinopathy is one step closer to becoming a reality. Researchers at the University of Tasmania developing the therapy have received $500,000 to help bring the project to life. They say the drops will be a game changer, early treatment.
The drops, basically, the patients can take it home. They can apply them themselves, which means they don't have to go to see an ophthalmologist. This could be done even in rural and remote areas.
We've got that preliminary data to show that we've got something there that appears to work, and without this external funding, the program would come to a halt.
DR affects more than 150 million people globally. Well, we've seen people push their bodies to the limit for charity, but for some, Dry July might seem just as daunting. Nevertheless, thousands of Australians will commit to giving up alcohol for the entire month, all for a good cause.
It's almost time to turn off the tap. Tasmanians are being urged to take the plunge into alcohol abstinence from next week.
The ultimate challenge is to go the whole month without actually having a drink.
And raise much needed funds for the Cancer Council.
All the funds would stay here in the state to support Tasmanians impacted by cancer.
And considering alcohol can cause up to 7 types of cancer and giving up the booze is linked to better sleep and more energy, a teetotal lifestyle might just become permanent.
There's this term out there in the community that's called being sober curious. where people might be thinking about what would it be like if I was to give up alcohol for a period of time.
Participants can sign up as a team to keep each other accountable. But if you're not tempted by a tipple, you can always give up another vice.
Some of our group are going to be giving up the booze for the month. Myself, I'll be giving up chocolate and coffee, so it'll be a bit of a challenge for me, no caffeine.
For more information, visit the Dry July website. Annie Green, 7 Tasmanian News.
The impact of chronic mental health conditions on a young family is under the spotlight as an award-winning musical hits the stage in Launceston. Next to Normal follows the struggles experienced by a mother living with bipolar disorder.
I miss the mountains. I miss the highs and lows.
Production company Black Box Theatre hoping the musical will spark important conversations around mental health.
We want to pick shows that people come and watch and they leave the theatre having discussions about the themes that they've seen.
Next to Normal opens tomorrow night and runs for a week. Well, there's no space at the Glenorchy Magpies. They're being flooded with juniors as Devils fever hits. Enrolments in the club's Auskick program jumping by 128% this year.
To see these sort of numbers and this sort of enthusiasm and this sort of growth and excitement, it's just fantastic for the club.
The spike is being attributed to extra funding from the AFL as part of the Devils' entry.
Having only kicked a single goal so far this season, the Latrobe Women are quite upbeat about their chances of wrangling a maiden victory this weekend. That's the aim anyway when they play the also winless Circular Head for the first time.
We've been preparing for this game for about 4 weeks, so the excitement levels are through the roof.
At the other end of the spectrum, the undefeated Devonport men play danger side Wynyard.
We've just got to turn up with the right mentality and hopefully we can get the job done, stay to our structures.
Wynyard is coming off an 87-all draw with second-placed Ulverston. It seems Chris Fagen won't return to Tassie to lead the Devils, telling agenda setters he doesn't want to coach another side after Brisbane. But he isn't ruling out having some involvement with the club.
I'd rather help somebody else out. I've always thought that was probably my best role in footy, helping somebody else out. So if an opportunity came up there that it fitted in with my lifestyle and that I could do it properly, then I would consider it, but that may or may not happen.
Fagen says he'll likely end up in Melbourne to be near his grandkids.
Good evening. Hobart 16 today, Launceston and Devonport saw 15 and it was 14 in Burnie. Friendly Beaches 17, 16 on Flinders Island and at Grove, Low Head, St Helens and Bushy Park 15, 13 on King Island, also at Smithton and at Strawn and just 5 degrees in Lyweni. Low to high level cloud remained thicker in the north which moved quickly from the northwest. Low to high level cloud is seen over southeastern parts of Australia as high cloud passes across the top end. Tomorrow, a strong cold front sits over Victoria and extends to a low pressure system as it approaches the east of our state. West to southwesterly winds 20 to 35 knots about the west. West to southwesterly swells increasing up to 5 metres, also in western waters. Now, with that coming our way, a severe weather warning has been issued for the Bass Strait and Furneaux Islands, parts of the northeast, central north and northwest. A gale warning is in place for all coastal waters. There is also a strong wind warning for the Derwent Estuary, Frederick Henry and Norfolk Bay, the Channel and the Central Plateau Lakes. A minor flood warning too for the North Esk River. A bushwalkers weather alert has been issued for the Central Highlands due to snow falling as low as 500 metres, and a warning extends to sheep graziers on the Furneaux Islands, northwest coast, Upper Derwent Valley and the southeast. Easing showers in Hobart tomorrow, 10 degrees, showery in Geeveston 9, much the same in Bothwell, warming to just 7 tomorrow. A few showers over Launceston and Devonport, 11 degrees. A similar story in Cressy, 10's the maximum. A wet and windy day for parts of the west, Burnie 11, 10 in Strawn and 12 degrees in Curry. A soggy day too for the east, showers in St Helens and Swansea, 11 degrees and 10 in Orford. Some inland fog on Thursday, but fine apart from showers about the west and far south. Another frost perhaps and some morning fog on Friday, but more showers about the west and far south. A similar morning on Saturday, showers will follow about the north and also the west. Across the country tomorrow, much warmer in Darwin as we would expect, 32 the maximum. A cloudy day in Sydney, 18, and a possible shower in Brisbane. It's also cloudy in Hobart right now, 9 degrees. Showery across Launceston with 9 also, and also showers in Devonport. We are in for a wild night tonight, Murph.
I'm guessing you don't mean that you're heading out to the nightclubs tonight, Kaya. I'm sure it's all weather-related, folks. That's all our news for now. I'll be back later with updates. We'll have the sport and weather update as well. Thanks for joining us. Good night.